Demand creates the product. It seems obvious, right? So why every IT vendor in the beginning of their journey do exact opposite thing? Let me explain. So whenever I collaborate with any startup, I get the same story. We are not ready with the product yet, we need to work on the features, we need to add some new functionalities. And even when we talk about sales, every question is about the KPI, is about the case study, the success story. So again, the product is in the center. But before we figure out what is the product, we need to understand if there is actually a demand for that. So as a sales guy, you need to find this demand, right? And you can do this either internally or externally. Internally is all about the investigation. You need to go into the account, go into the sector and understand what pains the customer have, and then you need to resolve this with your product. So let's use some example here. Let's say we have the retailer and they have some inefficiencies in their supply chain process and they require to introduce some interface to make sure that they can do the process better. So how the retailer would look at the project? The enhancement would be calculated, quantified, they would be converted into the amount of the productivity they save and then converted in the amount of the savings that it generates. So first of all, you need to figure out if the customer gets the return on the investment, if the amount of money that he needs to pay you can be then returned in the savings. And I've noticed that many vendors do a very big mistake here because they do a lot of assumptions. Rather than asking, rather than calculating, they just assume that this is this amount of saving and this is X amount of productivity. No, you need to go to the specialist in the field and you need to understand if this is the case. I would suggest starting with doing your investigation, and I know that every vendor wants to start their prospecting from the decision makers. But before you are ready for the decision makers, you need to do your homework. So go to the specialists, talk to them, understand their problems a little bit better, and then talk to the decision makers. So the second way that the demand is generated is the external one. And I think that from the IT perspective, this one is a little bit easier because it does not require as much of the investigation. So let's say you build the B2B software and you will notice that once in a while there is this regulation happening on the market that will totally change the rules of the game. It can be AI Act, it can be CSRD, it can be GDPR. So this is something that is imposed by the external body, but is influencing the business a lot. And this means that this disruption will create new demand for new products, new projects, new technologies. And if you stay on top of them, you can create the solution that resolves the issue that has been imposed by the regulation. And I've noticed this in ESG. So the software vendors that created ESG specific reporting tools are right now really flowing in the projects. So let's summarize with a couple of bullets. First of all, do the investigations, don't go straight to the decision makers, talk to the specialists, also look for the disruptions from the external perspective, look for the regulations that can change the rules of the game, and this way you can find the demand that will then help you fine-tune your product. Build relationships with the people that are closer to the process, and these relationships will help you get the ammunition that you will use then with the decision makers. So hope that this video was useful, and if you like the content, keep watching.